Welcome back to another high octane episode of Crochet Diaries. I'm excited about this one though, it's a doozy. I was following along to a tutorial on how to make a seashell kerchief, which I had worked out with some really soft brushed mohair. I liked how the seashells turned out, but it did get me thinking about trying to make a version with more of a solid fabric. I had ordered some printed yarns from Wool Warehouse with the intention of turning a few of them into some bandanas or kerchiefs, however you refer to them. So that's what we're going to make today. Check these out. I'm a fan for a few reasons. One, I love how the printed yarn looks worked up this way, and two, this pattern was easy. So easy that it feels kind of odd calling it a pattern. It involves crocheting a triangle. That just means after every row we increase and then we finish off with the ties. We'll get into that in more detail very soon. Let's first talk about what we'll need.
I'm using some 4-ply yarn today. These are from Drops's Fable collection, which are superwash treated sock yarn. So it should be fairly durable if it can withstand being made into a sock. Fingers crossed. I'll share links to the yarn and hook I've used in the description if you're interested. The recommended hook size for this yarn is 3mm, however, having completed a version with a 3mm hook, I wanted to create a fabric that was still solid but had just a bit more drape to it. I made my second kerchief with a 4mm hook, and that's what I recommend you try today. Also, let's make sure we have our usual suspects handy: scissors, darning needle, and optionally stitch markers and measuring tape. For this project, we'll be working from the bottom corner and steadily increasing row by row. Once we reach our desired height, we'll start on our ties. If you have a scarf to reference, you could measure that to give you something to work from. I was a little looser when starting this project and opted to try things on when the kerchief got to a decent size. The samples I have today though measure around 300mm or 11.81 inches in height, and 380mm or 14.96 inches in width for the body. My ties are 80 chains long, which measures around the 300mm mark again.
Okay, let's get started. So we need to start with a slip knot on our hook. And the way that I like to do it is my tail end here, wrap the yarn around my fingers, and I will hook onto the top left strand, pull through, and there's my slip knot. And then we chain 2. 1, 2. So we've got 2 stitches, and that's our foundation chain. Now for row 1, we are gonna insert 2 single crochet into our first stitch, this one here. So 1, 2, and we chain 1. That's our turning chain. It doesn't count, but what it will do is give us a nice clean edge as we continue to work up. Row 2, we are gonna work a single crochet into that first stitch, and then in our second stitch we're gonna increase. So 1 and 2, chain 1 to turn. Okay, so let's just count. We have 1, 2, 3. We have 3 stitches in row 3. This is literally the repeating pattern. So we're gonna single crochet into this stitch. The second one we're gonna single crochet, and it's always the last stitch of the row where we increase. So let's do that. 1, 2, and increase. So 1, 2, let's not forget our turning chain. Nice, and we have 4 stitches now. Something you can do if you're kind of newer to crocheting is to use some stitch markers.
I lost count constantly when I started out crocheting. So if it's important, and so you don't have to count, you add a stitch marker to the last stitch of your previous row. So then you know that's the one that you increase in, if that's useful for you. Hello again. I worked up a couple more rows, but I wanted to zoom in just so you could really take a look at the stitches. If you're not quite familiar yet, you're newer to crochet perhaps. So here we go. This is our first chain. It's close to where your hook is from the turning chain. Make sure not to miss it. I missed it constantly when I was first learning. So 2, 3, see those V's? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 13, okay, 14, that's my last chain there. That little baby one, that's my turning chain. Don't insert your hook into that one. 14. So we increase into this one. If I can shimmy my hook in there. Okay. 1, 2, and chain 1 to turn. And that's it. Cool. I'll actually go offline now, and I will meet you when this thing is a lot bigger in size. And we're back with a much larger triangle that will become the body of our bandana. It'll all make sense once we start to add our ties, which I'm going to show you in just a minute. I'll talk you through the approach though. What we will do is, once you reach your desired height, from here we are going to chain 80, make our way back around the front of the kerchief, chain another 80, and then make our way back so that the chain is thicker, not just a single foundation chain, and then we'll tie off at one of these ends. Okay, let's start chaining 80. I'm gonna use some safety pins as my stitch markers. Use whatever you'd like that's easy for you. It could be a bobby pin, maybe it's even a loose strand of yarn to help you keep count. I'm going to be adding a stitch marker into every 20th chain. This was the last stitch of my row without a turning chain. I'm going to start chaining. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 19, 20, and 21. I just do 21 so that it's easier for me to insert my stitch marker. This is my 20th chain. Add a stitch marker in there. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. So I'm going to continue on, and at my 40th chain I'll add another safety pin, and then I will meet you at my 81st chain, the 81st being my turning chain, and I'll show you how I work my way back. Alright, we have our 80 chains now, which is the length that I want to go for with both ties. We want to make our way back so that we join the main body and make our way towards the other side of our work. How you can do this is, here's our foundation chain, these V's as we see them. So you can work just a regular single crochet through the front loops, and that's perfectly fine for the tie.
What I like to do though, when I'm making something like a tie, I'd like it to look just a little neater. The trick is I turn my chain over. So this is the front side of it, this is the back side. And I like working my stitches through the back bumps, which are these loops here. That's the back bump, that's the back bump. I suppose it's the loop that connects the V's. This is the back bump. I work a single crochet through these bumps. It just looks neater when you do that. So that's what I'm gonna do, but you're welcome to just work a regular single crochet. This is my 81st stitch, by the way. This one right here, not the one that's on your hook, you never count that one. But that's gonna act as my turning chain. So if I turn my work over, I'm gonna insert into this loop here. Okay, I'm just gonna do that all the way back to the base where we first started chaining, and then I can show you what we do next. So I'll meet you at this point here. Here we are. Here's our chain, and we've made it back to the main body of our work. We're just gonna do another row of single crochet along the edge to reach the other side of our work. That is all that we're gonna do here. So let's slip into our first stitch here to secure the ties. Okay, easy. That's all that's required. So I will meet you back at this end of our work. Okay, last one. Now to chain our 80 chains for the other tie. And then we make our way back again. And then I can just briefly show you how I weave in my tail ends, because am I a whiz at that? Not really, but it is a necessity. So I will see you again very soon. So you might have something like this. I've just joined the tapering side of my headband, having come back the second time around. We have all our pieces here. We have our body, we have both of our ties. It's now time to weave in our tail ends, and let me show you how I do it. Okay. Here we go. And now what I just try to do is, as you can imagine, secure it. We don't want this thing unraveling.
Our brief is to make them sturdy but inconspicuous, so what I'll commonly do is I'll work my tail ends directly into the last row of stitches I've just made, and I'll do that back and forth to help secure them.
That, my friends, is the tutorial for how you can make your very own kerchief slash bandana. I hope you enjoyed it and that it was easy to follow along with. If you have any questions or feedback, leave them in the comments section and I will get back to you. Something that I would recommend you do though, it's a recommendation, you don't have to do it, but blocking your project after you finish it is a good idea. I'll link to the video that I watched on YouTube that helped me with that. I'll insert some footage of me doing it as well. But what I mean by blocking is steaming your completed project so that you relax the stitches, you'll get nicer draping, and if there's any curling or weirdness, you can steam them out, essentially. That's what I did with all 3 of mine, including this one here. It just looks more finished and, you know, polished once you're done. I look forward to seeing you in the next tutorial.